Hi everybody, welcome back to 100% Mag. So I'm joined today by a very special guest, Arsenal fan, Joshua from, of course, True Gunners YouTube channel. You can go check out his channel down in the description below. I'll also post it as a comment on the comments section as well, so you can go check out his channel. Fantastic YouTuber. And he's going to be joining me, of course, today, as you can see, to talk about the upcoming game tomorrow. 7:45 kickoff. This was meant to be an 8 o'clock kickoff, but it has been moved to 7:45 for Sky television purposes. So, of course, this game will be live on Sky, and for obvious reasons, because both sides are doing fantastic in the Premier League this season. Arsenal are sitting atop of the Premier League at this moment in time with 7 points ahead of everybody else. And of course, we were in second place before that game against, of course, Leeds United on New Year's Eve. Obviously, Man City had took over that second place position, but we ended off 2022 in, of course, third place. So still fantastic when you consider where we were, that time last season. But without further ado, let's get straight into this preview for the game against Arsenal. So, Joshua, if you want to introduce yourself, mate, to, of course, the viewers of my channel.
Bro, I'm back. I don't know what happened, it lags. Anyway, I'm Josh, massive Arsenal fan. I've got a channel called True Gunner. One of the Rose 3K subscribers, about 50 away now. I've been doing it on YouTube for about 3 years, giving my opinions, about the club I love, and I've been supporting for my whole life pretty much. And yeah, look, I'm buzzing, man. That we're top of the league, and this is the first time in a while I've seen Arsenal do this well. So
yeah, it's
am
crazy.
I back? What's going on, bro? It keeps lagging.
Yeah, it's keep going off, isn't it?
One second. Let me try and come back in and see what happens. All right.
No worries, no worries.
Sorry about this, man.
Not a problem. So like I say, we're going to be previewing the game for Arsenal's game tomorrow against Newcastle United, of course, given the thoughts on the game. And it's going to be an interesting one because obviously, like I said, both sides are doing fantastic this season. But we'll get a little bit more into it, of course, when Josh comes back into the stream, of course, having a few technical problems at the moment, but we will get back into it as soon as Josh comes back in. It's just in the back room there. There we go.
Sorry about that, man.
No problems, mate. So you are saying about your channel?
Yeah. So as I said, like obviously I'm buzzing. This is the first time I've seen Arsenal do really well in quite a while. So yeah, I mean both of our teams are absolutely flying right now. So I think this will be a fantastic game. I'm really looking forward to the preview, and also thank you as well for inviting me on your channel today as well.
Oh, that's no problem, mate. It's been, of course, a pleasure to have you come onto the channel, and we'll talk about the game, of course, like I've said. There's going to be 3,000 Newcastle fans travelling down to this game. We never travel late, no matter if it's a home game or an away game. We're always going big numbers, and it's a sold-out crowd for Newcastle United going down to the Emirates, where, unfortunately, since, of course, we 1-0 success back in November of 2010 when Andy Carroll scored the goal in the game. Newcastle, of course, have played their 11 occasions after that, of course, 10 of them in the Premier League, and we've lost all of them. So hopefully tomorrow is not a similar occurrence. Hopefully Newcastle come away with a win. That would be fantastic to see. Obviously, you'll think otherwise, Josh, mate, but but it's going to be an interesting one, definitely. Of course, the last Newcastle player to score at the Emirates was, of course, Jose Perez in December of 2014. And the last time we took the lead at the Emirates, of course, was in March of 2012, when Hatem Ben Arfa scored on the 14th minute of the game, opening the scoring for Newcastle in the game. Of course, the goal only lasted for a minute before, of course, Robin van Persie scored on the 15th minute of the game to equalise it for Arsenal. Eddie Howe, going into this one, of course, has lost each of his last 6 games against Arsenal, 5 of which were, of course, at Bournemouth, one of them being the Newcastle game against yourselves, of course, last season. The reverse of that fixture, however, of course, seeing Newcastle come away 2-0 winners in the game. An own goal by Ben White to open the scoring for Newcastle, and, of course, a 85th minute goal by Bruno Guimaraes to extend the lead and see Newcastle win the game 2-0, and of course cost yourselves the Champions League place for this season. So what's your thoughts going into this game, Joshua, mate?
Mate, I'm very nervous, and I mean, I think Arsenal fans should be confident going against you, but you lot are flying right now, and Eddie Howe, I've just got to say, what a manager, bro. The way he's come into your squad, right, when you was it last season you was about near enough relegation zone before he came?
Yeah, we were in 19th place when he came into the squad.
And you finished 10th, if I'm not wrong. You finished mid-table, wasn't
it? We finished in 10th, 11th place, I think 11th. It was.
Yeah. So the way he came in, and and of course, with your takeover as well, that really helps you get in the good players. Like Bruno Guimaraes as well. What's a signing? I would have taken him at Arsenal. We was linked with him. I was like, get this guy in, but he's gone to you lot, and what a player he's been. And he's came in and he's made players like Almiron. Almiron's a totally different player than he was on the likes of Steve Bruce. He's made players like Joe Willock, who's played for Arsenal as well. He's getting him again. Even Joe Linton's playing really well. So, mate, I've been so impressed with you lot this season. You've lost one game the whole entire season as well, and that was against Liverpool, and that was the last-minute goal, wasn't it, from Carvalho. So
it was a bit of a controversial game, that one as well, with the last-minute goal.
Yeah, so you're same as us. We've only lost one game as well. We lost to Man United 3-1 at Old Trafford, and you've only lost to Liverpool, and even against Man City, 3-1 up. And I was like, how did you bottle that? What a game that was! I was like, oh my god, bro. And so as much as we're top of the league and we're fine, I think this is probably gonna be our toughest game that we've had in quite a while, because yes, we played against Brighton last when was it? New Year's Eve, right?
New Year's Eve, yeah.
Very good performance from Arsenal. It was a very tough place to go away to the Amex as well. I thought we played really well. But this game, of course, it is at the Emirates, and you just said about the record. We have a very good record at home to Newcastle. The last time you actually scored against us, you say it was 2014. You actually scored against.
Yeah, the last time we scored against you was back in November 2010, and it was Andy Carroll's.
Wow.
It was Andy Carroll's thing for the win. That was the win. But in the last time we scored against you at the Emirates was, of course, 2014. It was Jose Perez.
Yeah, so look, we've got a very good record at home. I do think that this game will be a very good. I can actually see. I know we're going to give our prediction at the end, but I can see this game ending as a draw, because I think you lot are flying. I mean, you're third in the league. It's a bit disappointing against Leeds, weren't it, when you dropped points 0-0?
Yeah, it wasn't the best.
I didn't really watch your game. I mean, how well did you lot play? Would you dominate or?
We did really well in the game. We dominated the game. The only problem with the game was the fact of, as it always is with the Premier League, the referee costing things. He was a bit too lenient towards Leeds. I've gotten some stick off Leeds fans in the comments, of course, of my review for that game, saying that, I was blaming the referee, saying Leeds was dirty, which Leeds were very dirty in the game. They came away from that game with 19 fouls. Newcastle only coming away from the game with 13 fouls, so it shows just how dirty Leeds were in the game. Tyler Adams as well, who was just returning to that game after a red card. Of course, he missed out on the Man City game. He returned in that game against Newcastle, and I can see why he got that red card, because he was very dirty in the game. There was a lot of shithousery moments by him in the game, especially when, Murphy tried to pick up the ball and he kicked the ball away. That was just not necessary at all. It didn't need to be getting done. Quite a few people seem to enjoy Leeds getting that point against Newcastle as well, which I can see why. At the end of the day, quite a few people are feeling threatened because Newcastle's got all this money. We're going places. We've got a fantastic squad, like you've just said, under Eddie Howe. We're playing some very attractive football, probably some of the best football I've seen Newcastle play, since Kevin Keegan was the manager at Newcastle, or Bobby Robson was the manager at Newcastle. Rafa Benitez did quite well in his time in Newcastle as well. Not as good as what Eddie Howe's doing right now, but still, you know, some pretty good football by Rafa when he was here. And like you say, you know, we're flying, similar to yous are flying in the league this season. Though I have seen quite a few Arsenal games this season. I've got to say, I don't know if you agree, you probably wouldn't, but in my opinion, you look sort of similar to what you were when we played just in the league last season at ours. We came away from that game with the win. I feel Arsenal look similar to that Arsenal side. Yes, Arsenal's doing fantastic in the league, but they haven't really had a massive challenge yet of the caliber of what we are. Out of the teams in the Premier League this season, there's Arsenal, Man City, and Newcastle. That are the three best teams. So far, you know, Arsenal haven't really, like I've said, had a challenge. We could be that challenge to tomorrow in the game, you know, down at the Emirates, but the record is against we. Of course, with only winning that one game back in November of 2010. So that's quite a while back now when you look at it. But, you know, it doesn't mean that that's going to be the case, you know, that we're going to lose out on the game. Looking at, of course, Arsenal going into the game, you've won 14 of their, of course, 16 matches so far this season. Of course, we're going into this one unbeaten in 14 games in all competitions since the 31st of August, of course, since that game against Liverpool, where we lost at Anfield very controversially as well. You know, I still feel pretty hard done by on that one, I've got to say, because, you know, it really did look like we should have come away from that game with the 3 points in the bag, especially when you look at Isak's goal. You know, he scored a fantastic goal to get Newcastle going in the game. Then he scored another fantastic goal, which was ruled out for offside. When you look at it back on the replays, you know, you can clearly see that he is onside. Man United had a similar one around that point with Rashford, where, you know, they allowed Rashford's. But then you look at Newcastle's game against Liverpool and, you know, Isak's isn't allowed. It does start to really raise questions about corruption in the Premier League, which is something that I have said about quite a lot over the years. But it's going to be an interesting game, definitely. Going into it, there is going to be players that will be missing from the game as well, of course, from your side. There's going to be no Gabriel Jesus because he picked up a massive injury, didn't he, in the World Cup? So he's going to be missing out on the game because he's had a knee injury. There's also going to be Nielsen, I believe it is, that's got an injury for this game, and Smith Rowe as well. Yeah. And then on our side, we've got Dummett, Isak, Kraft, John George Shelvey. We've heard now is going to miss quite a bit of the season. Maybe he could miss the whole of the season. Who knows? Matty Target as well is now a question of a player going to be missing quite a bit as well. So thankfully, the January transfer windows here, you know, there's a chance for both sides to freshen with squads a little bit, bring some fresh faces in. Of course, one of the names linked around your club at the minute is Mudryk, who seems to be quite interested in coming to Arsenal. Another player that, of course, was linked with Newcastle, but, you know, who isn't these days? Seems like every single player is being linked to Newcastle, or Newcastle's names being thrown on there to, you know, extend the value of the player and up the value of the player. But what's your thoughts on, you know, players that won't be playing going into the game? You know, will you miss Gabriel Jesus going into this game?
100%, man. When we signed Jesus, came in straight away. He gave us that something different that we needed in our squad. I mean, he's only bagged 5 goals this season, right? But if people do watch Arsenal week in, week out, they realise how important he is to Arsenal, because it's not all about the goals for me. I know it's his job as a striker to score goals, of course, but he has the hold-up play, he has the flair, he has the skill. You know, the way how he creates big chances for players like Saka and Martinelli, not many other strikers can really do that in the Premier League for me. So for me, he's very important. And we've been playing Eddie Nketiah up front for these past 2 games against West Ham and Newcastle. He scored in both West Ham, Brighton, and he scored in both of them. You know, and that's all I can really ask from the guy is you come in and that's your job to score goals, and he's done that already 2 and 2. Am I confident that he will bag against you lot? Not really, because Eddie Nketiah for me is just not the one for us. I do think in January we have to go and strengthen and get another backup striker for Jesus. But if Nketiah keeps scoring, then you know he can prove many Arsenal fans wrong, because many Arsenal fans don't really rate Eddie Nketiah. I don't know what your thoughts when you watch Nketiah are.
I've got to say I'm not really that impressed by him, to be honest. I think he might be one that's going to be suspect going into this game. I think you'll have a bit of trouble going up against our backline, especially considering, you know, that our backline is probably one of the best in the league this season. We've conceded the least amount of goals. We're quite high in the whole of Europe as well for defences as well. So it's going to be a tough one for him going into the game. I think Eddie Nketiah, I think it's going to be a very tough one for him. Bukayo Saka's the one that I'm, you know, always quite looking at going into the games, because he's a player that does impress. Look at what he did in the World Cup. You know, fantastic player. He's got a soft spot for, or his dad's got a soft spot for Newcastle, of course, being a Newcastle United fan. So, you know, it is a player that I would love to see join Newcastle one day. If it'll happen, though, I don't think so, of course, but he's a fantastic player. Bukayo Saka is doing some really good stuff at Arsenal. Like I've said, you know, doing some really good stuff at England as well during that World Cup. And it's great to see him, you know, hitting back again to get some really good form after, of course, that whole Euros incident as well with the penalties. I do remember, you know, that I sent a DM to him after that, you know, telling him to keep his chin up and that, you know, not to listen to the haters and stuff, because I really do appreciate how good of a player he is, you know, even though he plays for a team, you know, that isn't my team. You know, I still appreciate the quality that is there on show. You can see, you know, the potential of a player that he is moving forward. Eddie Nketiah, for me, though, like I say, you know, it's going to be a suspect one going into this game, because I think he will struggle against the likes of Big Sven and also Fabian Shaw as well in there. And Nicky Pope is doing fantastic. He's ahead of the clean sheets as well. It's quite a few games now that Newcastle hasn't conceded a goal. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how Arsenal approach this one. Arteta's always trying his best, you know, to go into these games and perform to the best of Arsenal's abilities, sort of similar to Pep Guardiola and his style of play as well, with the tiki-taka football. But looking at the stats going into the game for both sides, you know, out of Arsenal's last 7 games, you've won 6 and drew 1, whilst out of Newcastle's last 7 games, we've won 6 and drew 1. So we're both equal on the last 7 games. Out of Arsenal's 5 games in all competitions, there's 4 wins and a loss in there for Arsenal. Out of Newcastle's last 5 games in all competitions as well, there's 4 wins and a draw for Newcastle. So we've drawn and won 4 out of our last 5 in all competitions. And like I say, you know, we're unbeaten in 14 games since that game against Liverpool back in August. Arsenal are only unbeaten in 3 in the league. Of course, with yous losing in the cups as well. And last, of course, we'll go to this one. Hopefully, you know, the game against yourselves will be a win for Newcastle, a chance for to extend will run in all competitions to 15 games unbeaten. Of course, we are unbeaten in the league as well for quite a bit. We've got a draw in the last game, or 6 games in a row won as well before that game against Leeds. So it's going to be interesting to see how this game goes. But I don't know what your thoughts are on, of course, how Newcastle's been playing this season. Like I say, my thoughts on your team are basically that you are doing really well. You haven't really had a big challenge yet. And I think, Newcastle could be that challenge in the game tomorrow. But what's your thoughts on that, mate?
Yeah, my thoughts on Newcastle, as I said, like, what a season for you lot. Because I remember you a few years ago under Steve Bruce. We don't have to talk about that if you don't want to. But yeah, those are some dark signs for Newcastle fans because obviously I'm 15, right, and I don't really remember a lot of when you played with Alan Shearer or when Kevin Keegan was your manager, right?
Yeah.
I look at the history and you was challenged for Premier League titles, weren't you? So sort of
back
season,
in the 90s, we were challenged for the titles. 2003 was a pretty good time under Bobby Robson as well.
Yeah, so look, and I also think that the takeover has helped massively, and January will be massive for you lot. If you do sign a few more additions, I can generally think see Newcastle finishing even top 4, man. I'll be honest, because you look at the teams below you, right? You saw Tottenham, right? They keep bottling it, as they always do, but they lost to Aston Villa yesterday, right? Liverpool are sort of picking their form back up a little bit, but we beat them this season 3-2 at the Emirates. Of course, you lost them, but you, as you said, did nowhere near to deserve that at all. And I look at Newcastle when you play against the Big Six as well this season. Man City, I'll say what a result. I mean, you could have gone and won that game if you didn't bottle it, but you still 3-3 to Man City after going 3-1 up. Not many teams do that. So, and you played against Man United. Yeah, I think it was a 0-0 draw, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, 0-0. I think you beat Chelsea 1-0, if I'm not wrong.
1-0 it was, yeah.
1-0. So then Liverpool, you obviously lost to. Have you played Tottenham yet as well?
Yeah, we played Tottenham down at theirs and won in that game as well.
Won that game as well. So this is the thing, man. Newcastle do know this season has a perform against the Big Six, which is why I'm very, very nervous going into this game, man. I think you're going to give us a fantastic game. I don't see us going there and hitting 3 past you and dominating the game because I do think it's be a very. I've got a feeling it's going to be the same as last season when we went to St James's Park and you beat us 2-0. I think both teams in that first half, it's 50-50, you could say, because, I think we dominated possession, but we didn't take our chances. Whereas you, second half, 2 chances, 2 goals. And I think it was it Wilson who scored your second goal and then Ben White scored an own goal or something like that. I can't. It was Guimaraes, wasn't it?
Yeah, Bruno.
Guimaraes, yeah, I remember that now. Yeah, so look, I think it'd be a much similar game to last season. Which is why I'm going to say it's going to be a draw for me, because we are at the Emirates. We've been fantastic at the Emirates. We haven't lost a game in the Premier League at the Emirates. We lost to Brighton in the Carabao Cup 3-1. But in the Premier League, we've been fantastic at the Emirates. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fantastic game, man. And as I said, if you strengthen January, I can definitely see Newcastle in the top 4 come the end of the season and playing Champions League.
I agree. The way we've been playing this season, we're definitely a team to be getting in that top 4 position. For Arsenal, I think, like I say, he has been doing some really good football this season. He has put in some really good performances against quite a few teams. But, looking at the way them games have played out, you got the 4-2 against Brighton just gone there. You got a 3-1 against West Ham before that. Of course, you lost in a friendly against Juventus. None of that really matters, of course, because that's a friendly. But, of course, you've been doing some really good football. I think you definitely need, though, however, to go and get a striker to come in and, strengthen your sides a little bit more because Eddie Nketiah, I don't think is going to be the guy to bang in the goals. Obviously, he's quite a bit down in quality compared to the likes of, Gabriel Jesus. He's quite a bit down in the quality compared to him. Looking at the other players on the side, like I say, you're pretty okay in the market where Bukayo Saka plays. You've got some other decent players in there as well. Decent goalkeeper in Aaron Ramsdale as well. But you know, it's just going to be a tough battle for you, definitely. There's quite a few people, like you've said, you know, already saying that Arsenal can maybe start going down now. Arteta's sort of thinking it as well, that it's going to be a bit of a tough one, where you could face some difficult challenges ahead. Obviously, we're one of them. And then there's the other games as well where you've got, of course, when I try and find them here.
We've got Man United, Tottenham, Man City, Chelsea, all in like a gap, I think. So
yeah, you've got in the Premier League, you've got after us, you've got Tottenham, you've got Man United. Tottenham, of course, is at their stadium. You've got Man United at, I'll try and bring it up on screen so that everybody can see, if I can. Yeah, so that's it there. As you can see, you know, you've got Tottenham at theirs. After us, you've got Man United, of course, at your own stadium. Then, of course, you go into February where you've got Everton at Goodison Park. Then you've got Brentford, of course, at your stadium. Then you've got, of course, Man City at the Emirates as well. Then Villa, and then, of course, you've got a game as well against Leicester at the King Power Stadium. Villa, of course, Villa Park. For me, I think from our game to, I would say, the Tottenham and Man United game, they're going to be tough games for you, definitely. The Everton one, I think, will stand a very good chance of winning that game. Everton aren't amazing. Everton aren't doing really well. Brentford isn't doing well neither. Man City game, I think, is going to be a similar one along the lines of this game. Of course, with it being a very tough challenge at the end of the day, it is Man City. And, you know, they usually always a really tough challenge. They're a very good side. And, you know, they're up there for a reason. Looking at the Premier League table, of course, Arsenal's got 43 points. Man City, of course, behind them on 36. Us just behind them on 34. Man United, of course, creeping into fourth place on 32. Tottenham behind them on 30. Liverpool, of course, still behind Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, of course, in sixth place with 28 points. So, of course, there's quite a few people saying that Liverpool can push up into that area. I don't believe they can that much, to be honest. I don't think they're going to have a really great time at the moment. Darwin Núñez is really suffering for them. But looking at that league table, Josh, mate, what do you think, you know, where do you think you would be finishing come the end of the season?
Obviously, like, as a Gooner, and I think we all want to win the league title, but you've got to be realistic with it. I do think the run we've got is going to really, well, it's going to really decide where we will be at the end of the season, and we are, if we are in a title challenge, because you look at some of the games that you've shown. Obviously, after this is a massive game for us, a very tough game as well. I can even see us beat, you lot beating us, to be honest, at the Emirates, because you've been flying this season, and this will be one of our biggest tests we've had this whole entire season. I'll be honest with that, because you lot are fantastic. So, yeah, after you lot, we go Tottenham away. Last time we went to and won Tottenham away, 2013, and that was when we won 1-0 and Rosicky scored a very good goal. So our record away at Tottenham is horrendous, and they always seem to beat us away from home. Man United at home, we seem to do well against them at the Emirates, but they beat us this season 3-1 under Ten Hag. Obviously, they ain't got Ronaldo anymore. I kind of think it's sort of a good thing for them, because Rashford's been on fire this season for Man United. So I do think that'll be a very big game. And then even the game against Everton, right? Yes, we're the favourite, but away from home, we really struggle at Goodison Park for some reason. Even last season, when we finished, when we was in the top 4 race, pretty much, we lost 2-1 away to Everton, and Damari Gray scored a last-minute goal. So, and then you go to Brentford after that. I'm pretty sure, innit? At home again,
Brentford.
They've been on fire, Brentford, as well, with Ivan Toney and all that. So yeah, look, these are some big games. I do think we will, mate. I want to say we're going to win the league, but it all depends on these next upcoming games. So now I'm saying that we're going to get second. Realistically, I think Man City will end. I know we're 7 points ago. I think Man City will beat us twice. Emirates and Etihad, and they'll catch up to us. I think Haaland's an absolute monster. He scored, what, if I'm not wrong, 20 goals now.
Yeah.
Absolutely crazy. So I do think we'll get second, and but I do think we'll be in a title challenge come the end of the season as well. I think we'll definitely be up there, and maybe even Newcastle will be in and amongst thirds. Trying to challenge for second, or trying to definitely challenge for top four, in my opinion.
Good stuff. I agree. I think Arsenal will be there or thereabouts around the title picture coming to the back end of the season. I think, the way you have been playing this season, you're definitely going to be up there in that area, battling for the title. It all depends, of course, on the fixtures ahead as well. Like we've said, there's some big fixtures there. Obviously, our game tomorrow. Then there's the game against Man City that you've got in there. Them fixtures ahead as well. You've got the games coming up in Champions in Europe as well. So, that's an area where I think could be a problem for the likes of course, Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Tottenham, Liverpool as well. I think that could be an area where they might start to feel the struggle, feel the strain a little bit because of them European games. Whereas, for our fixtures, we've got a League Cup game in there. We've got an FA Cup game in there. We've got, of course, the league games as well, but we don't have the European games like, the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, Man U, yourselves, Man City have. So that's where I think, that could be the defining factor on what happens in the league in that top six area. I think Newcastle could finish around the fourth to third area, maybe. If we keep up the performances that we're doing, then we could maybe win the title. But I think, to be honest, at this moment in time, the title does look a little bit out of our hands, unless, of course, we recruit very well in this window and we bring in, some extra power that could see we make it into that first position. Obviously, one of the players that I'd love to see coming to Newcastle would be, of course, James Maddison. I think the way he plays, absolutely playmaker, fantastic player as well. And he was absolutely desperate to get to Newcastle as well in the last window. But we lost out on being able to get him because, Leicester wouldn't budge on the price. Not that, of course, money is an issue with Newcastle United, but, we don't want to be getting held to ransom like we've seen with other clubs, like Chelsea in the past and Man City in the past. When they got their money, they were held to ransom by clubs. But, like I say, it's going to be an interesting one. I think we'll be around that area in the top four. We've worked to get into this position. I don't see we're giving up this position anytime soon, even though the pundits seem to be quite favourable to pushing the likes of Man United in there, Liverpool in there, but they're going off of what was last season and they're not going off of what is this season now. In my eyes, them teams, they haven't really done that well this season. They've been pretty lacklustre. Man United, of course, are getting in there now because of few decisions that have been going in their favour for referees in games. But I agree with you. I think Arsenal and Newcastle are going to be there or thereabouts, up at the top end of the table, fighting for the league title. But I think we're going to have to, see some sort of improvement in some areas as well, because we've got players out now that are injured, like John Joe Shelvey, who was doing really well when he was playing the games. Bruno needs somebody else to come in there and play alongside him, allow Bruno to push further up the field, because Bruno plays his best football when he's further up the field. He can do the defensive style as well, but I want to see him playing higher up the field to get them passes in, like we've seen him doing this season to Almiron, because that opens Almiron's game up more. It allows them to play in a more attacking style. If we get Maxi in there as well, that's something that people have failed to forget as well. That, this season we've been without the likes of Maxi. Isak was 60 odd mil signing. He's been out for quite a while. Maxi's been out for quite a while. He's only recently started coming back to the games. Wilson was out for quite a bit as well. A few of the other players have been out injured. So we haven't really had a full strength side. So I think once, we start seeing them players coming back into the side, getting back to their full fitness, we'll see we're full strength side for the first time this season. Whenever that does happen, then, that could be as well another defining factor on pushing on for to get a Champions League place, because I'd be happy with Newcastle getting a Champions League place. Winning the league would be amazing. Obviously, yourselves want to win the league as well. Everybody wants to win the league. That's what we're here for. At the end of the day, if we're not competing for the league, we're not trying to win the league, then why are you in the Premier League? There's no point in surviving in the Premier League. It's about winning the league. That is the whole purpose of the league, to be honest. And I think, we have a very good chance of getting in that top 4 position come the end of the season. I'd be happy with a Champions League spot. My prediction, of course, going into this game, I want to just see Newcastle put in a really good performance. If we can nab, a 1-0 win against Arsenal, obviously we'll play very high intensity football. That is our identity this season, and has been our identity since Eddie Howe's come in as the manager as well. But my prediction for it, I'd say 1-0 Newcastle to come away from this game with a win in the bag. Bruno, hopefully, just to see him hopefully do some sort of tribute for the late Pelé, which I feel, he had something there to show, as a tribute in that game against Leeds. He didn't get the chance to do it. It would be nice to see, him score the goal and maybe see a tribute to Pelé from Bruno Guimaraes, of course. But, it's going to be a very interesting game. Like I say, a 1-0 win to Newcastle. What's your prediction, Josh, mate?
Yeah, as I said at the start of this stream, I'm going for a draw, mate. I think it's be a fantastic game. I'm going to go 2-2. I think it's be a fantastic game. And I just think both teams are flying this season. Both teams have just been ruthless in terms of playing against the Big Six. And but as I said, both of us have only lost one game. I think the thing I forgot to say, but you've drew 7 games, if not one, this season.
We have so far 7 games drawn, 9 wins.
So I think you do draw quite a lot, don't you, this season? So that's why I think it'll be another draw, in my opinion. I think 2-2. Obviously, we can win. Obviously, I want us to win, but I'm looking at it realistically. I think you're giving us a fantastic game. 2-2. Goal scorers, I think Saka will score. I think Martinelli will score. And then for you lot, I think Bruno Guimaraes and I hate to say it, but I've got a feeling Joe Willock will actually score, like equaliser.
I had that feeling as well.
That would be means for him, won't it? I don't know. I mean, let's see if he's going to celebrate or not, or will he show respect to us because he is a youth from Arsenal. So I probably don't think he'll celebrate. But yeah, man, I'm looking forward to it. I'm buzzing for the game. I think it's going to be a very good game. May the best team win, bro.
Exactly. May the best team win. There was another stat that I forgot to mention in the video, of course, was that Newcastle going into this game as well, winning 2 games down in the capital this season. Of course, if we win this game against Arsenal, it will make it 3 games unbeaten. So we are unbeaten so far in the capital. That could play a defining factor as well into the game. Of course, with our record down there, it all depends really, because football is a funny game. It all depends on what happens on the day. We can talk about stats till the day goes on, but it's all about what happens on the day really. And I feel this is going to be a very feisty game between two teams that are really battling it out at the moment. Man City's in there as well, of course. So 3 teams in total battling it out. It leaves 1 place left in the Champions League for, Tottenham, Man U, Liverpool, Chelsea, if they can make it in there, but they're currently 8th at the minute in the Premier League. So I seriously can't see them picking up much form and getting themselves into the question for that Champions League spot. But at the moment, Man United currently occupy that Champions League spot. But it's going to be a very interesting game between Newcastle and Arsenal. You've went with a draw. I'm going with Newcastle to come away 1-0 winners. And, hopefully, may the best team win on the day, be it Arsenal or Newcastle. It's 2 really good managers going up against each other as well, Mikel Arteta and Eddie Howe. Both great tactical minds. They know what they're doing when they're in the dugouts. They know how to get the best out of their players as well. But we'll have a quick look at some of the comments from some of the people watching the stream. And then, of course, we'll sign off, and then I'll meet you over on your channel.
Yep.
Right, so we've got a comment here from Ian, of course, just saying Toon Black and White Army, and that he was pals with a guy from Arsenal. And then, of course, seen a few years ago, Felix already in, according to somebody. I'm guessing he's on about Joe Felix there.
What, for Arsenal or Newcastle?
Don't know on that one.
Because
he's just said Felix already, and I don't know if it's for Arsenal or Newcastle. He goes, they should start with this new player. I don't know which one that is that he's on about there, so that they can change the game of Newcastle he used to know about Arsenal. I don't know that one. It's crazy. Some person maybe's trolling there in the chat. I don't know. Do you lives? Big up. Got some more comments here as well. From Brian Scott. Another comment as well. Hi, mate. Hope you're enjoying the stream. So, like I say, we'll wrap it up there, Josh, mate. If you want to give a shout out, of course, to where people can find your channel and how they can follow you in that.
Yeah, so before I do that, I want to say thanks, Carl, for letting me come on your channel today to our preview. I think it was very good. The game's going to be fantastic as well. And yeah, look, you can find me YouTube, of course, True Gooner. We're 50 away from 3K subscribers. So yeah, we're so close to that. And yeah, also I'm on Instagram as well. You got my YouTube description, and then you can click. I've got all the links there, Instagram, Twitter, all that stuff. But yeah, big up everyone watching and in the chat as well. Thanks to Carl as well once again. And yeah, come on, you Gunners.
It's been a pleasure, mate, for having you come on. Of course, like I've said, I'll jump on your channel after this stream. That'll be 3 o'clock. That Josh is going to be streaming on his True Gunners channel. Of course, there will be a link to go to that stream up on my social media accounts at 100% Mags, of course, as you can see up on screen. Fantastic support today in the stream. Over 10 people watching in the stream as well, so it's really great to see this kind of support to the stream, this kind of support of the channel as well. We've been doing fantastic numbers on the channel for subscribers as well. We're currently on the road to 2K subscribers, so hopefully we can hit that this year, hopefully before birthday in March. To hit that would be amazing. And also, push on from here. Hopefully, of course, Newcastle continue on the performance that we're doing in the league. Of course, for Josh's side, Arsenal, of course, I'm sure he'll be hoping that Arsenal continue on the performances they're doing in the league. And like I say, it's going to be a fantastic game tomorrow. 2 sides battling out. Let's have a good Premier League tie, and, may the best team win at the end of the day. And hopefully we can see some really good, entertaining football on Sky Sports for a change, instead of the old dross that we usually always see from, of course, the so-called top 6 ones, like, you know, Man City, Man United, and the like. But till next time, I'll see you all later. Thank you for all tuning in. Thank you to Josh for coming on the channel. And of course, I'll see Josh over on his channel pretty soon. Till next time, I'll see you all later. And remember, like, share, subscribe, and Happy New Year to all of you. However, that's.